Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I hope you're doing okay. So today I wanted to talk a bit about books. In the beginning of this year I made a quarterly reading wrap up at the beginning of April. So yeah, I wanted to continue that tradition and do another quarterly reading wrap up today. So I will talk about the books I read from April till the end of June. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Oh, by the way, in the background I will set up a page for my reading journal ? I don't really have a reading journal, but I recently watched a lot of videos from booktubers who have a reading journal, and I was really inspired. And yeah, I wanted to try to kind of design a page where I track all of the books I read in 2023. Normally I would just track it in Notion, where I just track every book I read and also the books I want to read and I am currently reading. But yeah, I just wanted to track it in a more visually pleasing way. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right here. So yeah, the books I read the last few months. From April till June, I read 13 books, which is funny because I think in the first quarter of this year I also read 13 books, if I recall correctly. But yeah, 5 of these 13 books were audiobooks and another 5 were manga. So that explains why I could read that much, even though I also had quite a lot of uni stuff to do. The first book I read was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, which is just a lovely book. The House in the Cerulean Sea is about the caseworker Linus Baker, who works in the department in charge of magical youth. He lives a quiet, lonely life until he's given a classified case from upper management. He has to leave the comfort of his daily life and travel on an island to check up on an orphanage that seems to hold the one or other secret. The story seems to have a bit of everything. It has fantasy, or maybe you could call it magical realism, romance, humor, found family trope, which I always love. It has flawed characters, and it also touches upon subjects like prejudice and discrimination of minorities, even if it does it lightly and not in a deep way. Yeah, I love to read about the main characters that are quite flawed and are also in their 40s, which is quite rare for the books I read. Normally I read a lot of young adult fiction with main characters in their 20s or teens, so this was a welcomed change for me. The second book I read or heard was Unlearn Patriarchy, which is an anthology with text or essays from multiple authors with different backgrounds and perspectives. I picked up this audiobook because I saw it many times in bookstores and I just seemed to stumble upon it multiple times. So I just couldn't ignore it anymore and had to listen to it. What I liked about the book was its intersectional approach. When you talk about the patriarchy, you can't just talk about men and women and feminism and that's it. So how this book did it was that each text was dedicated to a different topic. So you had chapters like Unlearn Science, Unlearn Love, Unlearn Money, etc. Yeah, it just was really intersectional and touched upon a lot of important things. I've got to say that there was nothing too groundbreaking for me in this book. However, I think it's perfect for people who just want to start learning about this topic and haven't read that many books like this before. The third book I read was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by XEO. I hope that's how you pronounce the author's name. But yeah, this was definitely a 5 out of 5 star book. If you want a story with Spirited Away vibes that still feels original, this is the book for you. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a fantasy story inspired by Chinese mythology. It's about family and ancestors, destiny, romance, dragons, life and death. So it's just a wonderful time. I'm really used to spending lots of time with characters and the story because often I'm reading a book series with at least 3 volumes. So yeah, it's really nice to say that the characters of this book really grew on me quickly despite it being relatively short with only like 300 pages. And it's a standalone book, which is really nice for a fantasy book. I feel like I don't know that many fantasy books which are standalones, but this book did a really good job. Still bringing the characters and the story close to your heart, even though you don't spend that much time with them. So yeah. So next one, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation is a Chinese danmei about cultivators who want to achieve spiritual transcendence. At least that's like the most basic essence of the story. So yeah, I just wanted to know what the hype was all about, okay? I watched a bit of the Untamed series sometime after it came out in like 2019, 2020, and I found it pretty entertaining. Like I got to say, it was quite silly sometimes, especially like the special effects and the stunts and stuff. But I did like the characters a lot. However, I fell out of it somewhere between episode 10 and 20. But then suddenly, seemingly out of the blue, all of my local bookstores started stocking the light novel the Untamed was based on, which is Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. And some of them even dedicated a whole shelf to the author's work. So it seemed inevitable to pick it up, I guess. And I've got to say, I get it. I do get it. The books are quite nice. The only qualm I have is that the author tends to have these large tangents following some side characters I don't really care about for multiple chapters. So it can kind of drag on. But otherwise, I really like being in the story, and I love our 2 main characters, Wei Wuxian and Lang Wangji. Sorry, I'm totally butchering the Chinese names, but their dynamic is just really, really cute. But yeah, as I said, be warned, the development of their relationship is also kind of slow. It's like not the most fast-paced story ever, but I would still say that it's worth it, at least like from my perspective now, having read only the first book. But yeah, I will definitely continue reading the other books, and I might even pick up the series again, who knows. After Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, I listened to another audiobook, which was Castle in the Sky by Diana Wynne Jones. After I read Howl's Moving Castle in February, I wanted to read the other works of Jones as well. So yeah, Castle in the Sky and also the next book I'm going to talk about are not really sequels to Howl's Moving Castle. They are standalones. However, Sophie and Howl and Calcifer do make an appearance. So the story and especially the world are definitely interconnected. Yeah, I was sick when I was listening to the audiobook of this, so I have to be honest, I don't remember a whole lot of the book. But all I do remember is that it's an Aladdin-esque story about a carpet merchant who gets thrown into the role of a hero. having to save a not so distressed but quite capable damsel, a princess called Flower in the Night. So yeah, in short, it was fun, but definitely not a rival to Howl's Moving Castle. It was definitely different from the plot, but also the characters and like the atmosphere of the whole book. But yeah. So the other sequel to Howl's Moving Castle, if you can call it a sequel, is House of Many Ways, with its very own new story and characters. It's about Charmaine Baker, who has to look after her great uncle's house while he is ill and away. And oh my god, this book is so cute. If you love a good fantasy coming-of-age story set on a cottage in a magical house with protagonists that are book lovers and wizard apprentices, you will love this, trust me. It's just really, really cozy, and the plot is sometimes a bit wild, but then again, Sophie and Howl make an appearance again, so I definitely don't understand why people don't talk more about this book. After House of Many Ways, I read The Extraordinary Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which is a short story collection about our favorite detective by Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah, I love Sherlock Holmes. I love most stories set in Victorian England, to be honest. So it's quite a surprise that I had this book standing on my bookshelf since 2015. And I never finished reading all of the short stories. Yeah, what can I say? They are really good, so I recommend. The last audiobook I listened to was The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. Yeah, probably many people will know about this book. It's relatively popular, I think. It's a book about self-sabotage. It's like a self-help book. And I have to be honest, I didn't really like this book. Maybe it was because I listened to it as an audiobook, but it seemed all over the place and I couldn't really take hold of the writing, to be honest. This book could maybe be good for people who never read a self-help book, but for me there was nothing new in it, nothing of real substance. And I also want to give a short disclaimer, and that goes with any self-help book, to be honest, and that is, don't take everything you read as gospel. Brianna Wiest is not a psychologist, so yeah, if you have tendencies for self-sabotage, which is like the topic of the book, or when you have even self-destructive tendencies, definitely try to talk to professionals if you have the means. Yeah, you can read books like this if you want to, but take them with a grain of salt, as you should with anything, really. Just like you would with any YouTube video, Instagram post about mental health, just take it with a grain of salt. For the end, to lighten this up a bit, I thought about making a manga speed round. I read 3 manga series, or 5 manga, the last 3 months. The first one being Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Volume 16. And for this one, as always, love this manga. Current arc is super heart-wrenching and suspenseful. The art is, as always, immaculate. So if you love fantasy manga with ghosts, and I don't even know how to describe the book, but yeah, just like kind of cute, sometimes really scary, or not really scary, but heart-wrenching ghost stories set in school, then I would definitely recommend Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. I also read Sasaki Tomiyano Volume 6 through Volume 8. I found this cute high school shonen ai manga last spring, and now I finally catched up with the newest chapters. Definitely pick it up if you need something sweet and wholesome. As always, love the characters, love Sasaki, love Miyano. They are the cutest. And the last manga I read was Nichijou Volume 1. Nichijou means every day in Japanese. However, what happens to these high school students in this manga is sometimes not at all normal or mundane. Sometimes it's just really ridiculous. If you haven't watched the comedy anime by the same name, please do. It's super hilarious. I don't even know how to describe it other than saying it's just hilarious. So yeah, these were all the books I read in April, May and June. I'm definitely proud of myself that I kept reading so much, and I'm super excited for summer break because there are a lot of books that I want to read. Oh yeah, books I'm currently reading still, which a few of them I thought I could maybe finish them until the end of June, but I couldn't. For one, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, a German book which is called Der Spinner. I'm also reading Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation 2 and Creativity for Life, which is a book about being an artist. So starting good into the next month, I would say, into the next quarter of this year. I will definitely keep you guys updated about my reading. And I'm also super happy how my book journal page turned out. It's definitely nice to see all the books you've read in this year on one place. I also try to color coordinate them for the genres. I was thinking if I wanted to color coordinate for genre or for the format in which I read the books. I could have categorized them after listened as audiobook or read as physical book or library book or something like that, but then I decided to categorize it after genre. So I have pink for fantasy, lilac for manga and comics, blue for non-fiction, and yellow for everything else, which in my case is most often books fictional books that are not fantasy because I realized I read a lot of fantasy, to be honest. There are not that many fiction books which are not fantasy that I read. Yeah, that's how it is looking, and I'm super happy how it turned out, as I said. Yeah, so thank you guys for staying, for spending time with me and watching my video. I hope you all have a great day and a great week. I hope you all have as much time as possible in summer and can read all the books you want. Definitely write in the comments which books you want to read this summer, because I'm always open for more recommendations. And yeah, thank you again. Have a nice day and bye!